Boxing with K-Side Press, and I'm here with Hyder Amil, who's coming off a TKO win at LFA 117. How are you?
Doing great. How are you?
Good, man. I'm good. I'm happy to be talking with you, man. You're coming off a war with Hobson Jr. It's been 10 days since your fight. How are you feeling?
Feeling great.
Um, did you have any injuries coming out of that fight?
Nope. I just got a bruised nose, and he just gave me a nosebleed. But I think the damages were superficial because I felt nothing. I had some marks and it healed in 2 days. My nose was bruised, but that was about it. And then just a bruise on like my shin. And I actually have a bruise on my knee from kneeing him in the face, but that's about it.
Damn. So it's been 10 days. How do you feel about that performance?
Um, well, look, so what people need to understand is not it was 2 years off. I haven't fought in 2 years. I took it on 2 weeks' notice. I didn't realize he had a full training camp. Like I thought he took it at 2 weeks' notice, but I replaced the guy. And the day of the fight, they had me doing medical. So I was driving for like 5 hours, 4 hours driving, and then the sessions were another like 2 hour or two. So on fight day, I couldn't sleep or eat as much as I normally could. And by the time I got back from doing those, because they had me doing these medicals that I got cleared for a week before. So it really stressed me out that I had to do these all of a sudden medicals like fight day, in which, after you cut weight, you want to rest as much as possible. You want to eat as much as possible. So once I got back after doing all those medicals, I had to just I could take a nap for 15 minutes, then get into the stadium, warm up, and then fight. So I entered a fight already tired. And so I felt like if I just had one more hour, even just one more hour, just to rest a little bit or a couple hours, or didn't have to do anything fight day, I wouldn't have been damaged. I think I would have clearly destroyed him. But that's just my opinion.
I mean, it sounds like you jumped through a bunch of hoops and it was just kind of a crazy fight week, man.
Yeah, it was nuts. Yeah.
um, so you didn't fight all of 2020. I guess did you feel any ring rust?
Uh, yeah, I definitely felt ring rust. But I didn't feel nervous. I was very confident I was gonna beat him. I had no idea he had the other back. I had no idea. I thought he was just a jiu-jitsu guy going into the fight. And then I find out he's like 20 and no undefeated in Muay Thai. I'm like, okay, someone should have told me that, but it didn't matter, because I always go into a fight, because you never know what someone will come up with, how good they get. So I come to the fight ready for whatever. So
Were you surprised that he survived that first round?
yeah, I was like, okay, like, but I knew that just a little bit more, and I was gonna get him out of there.
Um, so for anyone that doesn't know your story, how did you get into mixed martial arts?
Well, okay, so I started when I was a kid. I actually started a long time ago. I started when I was like 10 years old, 10, 12 years old. I was doing American kickboxing. Kind of, if you don't know what that is, it's like what Stephen Wonderboy Thompson does. Um, and then my friends in high school, they noticed that I was like pretty fast and somewhat athletic, I guess. And so they were like wanted me to play football. So I started playing football. And then they had me as running back, but I couldn't memorize. I didn't get to play. I didn't understand how to play football because I didn't grow up playing football. So I told them they put me on defense, and then the middle linebacker defense was a wrestler, and he got me into doing wrestling after football. I fell in love with wrestling because like a weekend I started getting medals, and I started getting undefeated medals and stuff. My first 2 weeks in the wrestling, I'm like, okay, this is my sport. Like I'm destroying guys who've been wrestling their whole lives, been wrestling for 2 weeks. And then right after that, I joined a jiu-jitsu gym, and then had my first fight when I was like 16, 17. Against like a 24-year-old or something, like 21, 24-year-old, whatever. and who outweighed me by like 20 pounds. And it was a brutal fight. It was not brutal, but yeah, it was a good fight. And then I got in trouble with the law. I got kicked out of school. You know, I was not the best kid, I guess. And then pretty much that was the end of me doing MMA for years, you know. And then I never chose to be back in MMA. I thought I left it when I was 17, 18 years old, you know. And then I was working. I was working, and I got fired from my job. I got let go. It was like something very small, like reason, and so I was looking for a way to pay rent, and so I sent a bunch of um, what you would call resumes out on Craigslist. And one of the places I sent them to was El Nino Training Center. And at the time, I was 210 pounds. 210 in my frame is big, you know. I just didn't look like it. I was 210. And I sent all these resumes out. And then, and mind you, I haven't worked out in like 4 years. And El Nino Training Center responds to me, hires me as their front desk. I'm like, okay, cool. Looks like I'm going to be back doing MMA again. And in the first 3 months, I lose like 35 pounds, almost 40 pounds. And then that's how I got back to MMA, doing MMA again. I never chose to be back in MMA. I kind of chose me, I guess.
Damn, that's a wild story. So, I mean, are you happy that you kind of fell back into it?
Absolutely. There's like, life is like, without these experiences seems very dull, you know. And fighting was always something that kind of like lived in my heart. I've always wanted to do. And I thought, you know, even though it's later back in my life, getting back into it, I'm like, might as well just give it a shot. And I'm undefeated now, 5-0, and I feel like I'm too far in to turn back. So let's see how far this rabbit hole goes, I guess.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, for sure. And I mean, you're putting on exciting fights. So you fought 3 times for Bellator. Did they not resign you? Because I know that you had a fight. It was going to be in 2020, and then the fight fell out. Did Bellator not resign you?
Well, I was doing one-offs for Bellator. In 2020, because of COVID, they canceled everything, and everything was kind of up in the air. So like no one was fighting. Very only people that already have contracts and main cards are kind of guaranteed anything. If I won that fight, I would have got a multi-fight deal with Bellator. And then and I've been trying to get a fight ever since. Just a lot of people don't want to fight me, or they say yes, and then all of a sudden no. So there's a lot of things. And then I injured myself earlier this year, and then so it's been a very frustrating 2 years, like with injuries, people not trying to fight me. Like yeah, so I'm glad I could finish off this year with a fight and a nice win.
What's next, man? Do you want to go back to Bellator? Do you want another fight in LFA? Do you want to go get on the Contender Series, PFL?
I want to get into the UFC. So whether I go through LFA, I'll do whatever it takes.
Awesome, man. I did want to talk. I did want you to talk a little bit about El Nino Training Center and Gilbert Melendez, man. I guess how has it been training there, and how important is it to kind of train alongside Gilbert Melendez?
Well, Gil's fought for a title a couple times, so you know he's been there, done that. He has a wealth of experience. He does the breakdowns for unlocking the victory, so he definitely knows what he's talking about. And also part of Gil's team is you got Jake Shields, one of the best grapplers in MMA. We have Nate Diaz, so we train with Nate, Nick, Dave Terrell and Santa Rosa, Santos Jiu-Jitsu, and San Ramon. So we had a wealth of guys that I could work with, like a lot of bodies, all different styles. But the number one thing with like the scrap pack guys is everyone there is a warrior. Everyone has insane conditioning. Like, as you already heard, like Nate and his team is incredible endurance. Everyone's really good jiu-jitsu, is really good stand-up. So it's really there's a lot of knowledge and stuff that you can only learn from people who've been there, done that, you know, like little tricks of the trade and the way they see things and breakdowns, and not just fighting skills, but all the little details, mind, how do we cut the weight, how we do, you know, all the little details in fighting. So I think it's very important to learn from people who have been successful and who have been in this process for a very long time. So yeah, it means a lot to me. And it also comes with a little bit of like a little bit of pressure almost in terms of like how I perform, and I want to carry in that name for being a real like, you know, real warrior.
I don't know if you went back and watched your fight yet, but Gilbert Melendez could not. He was trying to like be professional during your fight, but he was like, you were like secretly, you know, like rooting for you, and you know, like he was
Yeah.
made it known, you know.
Yeah, it was pretty funny.
That's awesome, man. Well, yeah, I mean, I think you put on a fantastic fight, man. I think you opened a lot of eyes of people who didn't even know that. I mean, didn't know you yet, and I think you're on your way to one of the big shows, man. So I just wanted to say thank you for taking the time to talk with me. If you want to plug your social media, plug any sponsors, the floor is yours.
Follow me at hurricane_415 on Instagram. And yeah, thank you for taking the time to interview me. I hope this is just the beginning of, you know, bigger and better things. And stay tuned and watch all my fights. All my fights are super exciting. I bring the heat every time. And what you saw in this fight is I came forward a lot because I came to the fight, you know, like already tired. So so my next fight, I feel like with full training camp and everything will be even better. And I think an even more decisive victory.
Awesome, man. I look forward to your next fight.
Thanks, Alex. Have a nice day, brother.